Mike spent 30-plus years in justice products manufacturing. Since 2005, he's been the nation's largest manufacturer of prefabricated steel cells. All right, he's primarily focused on justice housing units. SteelCell also offers a wide range of prefabricated rooms for adult, juvenile, and special needs projects in the U.S. and the Caribbean. Who writes these long sentences, right? They're incredible. SteelCell remains dedicated to offering safe, secure, and purposely designed products with an emphasis on mental health and behavioral solutions. SteelCell has now provided over 20,000 beds for the local, state, and federal systems. And with that, I'll give you Mike Smith.
Okay, I have the unenviable position to speak to you after lunch, so if I see anybody nodding off, it will become interactive very quickly, just warning you. First off, welcome. We've been doing these events for quite a while. This is probably the largest in-person crowd, and we've averaged, I think I was talking to Melissa, over 100 at any moment online doing the webinar part of this, so we appreciate that very much. Who is SteelCell? Well, we are the largest manufacturer of the prefabricated detention steel units in our industry. The number's changing. About 22,000 cells are in the field. With what's going on in our production today, that number by the end of the year will eclipse 25,000. All of our products are manufactured in the USA, Georgia. We utilize a lot of products from the manufacturers here. They're integral to our ability to perform on the jobs, and you're seeing those are all US-based companies. With some recent additions, including a new 76,000 square foot manufacturing warehouse, maybe future manufacturing, but currently warehouse and staging that was added. We're now at 266,000 square feet of space to perform this function of making a prefabricated steel cell. Shot from our factory. It's an assembly line factory, but our widgets are very large, as you saw for those of you that out under the tent. 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, sometimes 200 square foot rooms. Prefabricated, I think one of the speakers said cot in a box. Hadn't used that one, but yeah, a couple of cots in a box, sometimes 4 cots in a box, sometimes 6 cots in a box. But that's what we do. We're about 120 strong. I would anticipate with the growth, we'll be employing about 160, 165 by the end of the year. We focus, our core business is justice, but we are branching out, utilizing some of the same things that we have learned in the core justice market into related infrastructure or health or behavioral health markets as well. So hospitals, small footprint modular, that will be known as our Vital Space branded product, but learning from all of our justice experience. It would be remiss not to talk about why you even want to look at modular prefabrication. And I'm not going to mislead anybody. A toilet that goes in a stick-built job or a block-built job or a precast cell really costs about the same as one that goes in a steel cell. Doors are about the same, glass is about the same, furniture is about the same. So really what we're talking about is at a comparable cost and maybe some cost savings, we're still going to get a huge schedule savings. We're going to get a lot of questions asked up front, answered up front. And while the job site is being prepared, we are literally most of the time building cells to your specifications. Then again, it is a manufacturing operation, so we have people that are doing the same thing every day. We have people install lights every day. We have people install toilets every day. We have people that apply the polyurea coating every day. So the quality control that exists is, if anything, these are really 3 of the key points that you see on the screen now, why prefab and modularization makes sense. Schedule. I think a lot of people in this room have especially the designers and builders, realize this, but it never hurts to remind ourselves where this schedule, this accelerated schedule actually occurs. So in our traditional, we're going to build a project, we're going to bid it, we're going to hire all the contractors, and then we're going to start with the first shovel of dirt moved or the first bulldozer blade of cutting the site. And then we're going to start from, foundations up. Everything pretty much has a predecessor. Can't put the roof on unless the walls are up. Can't put the walls up unless the foundation's there. Can't, tie in an electrical outlet until, all the conduit and wiring's pulled. So it's a very sequential, traditional construction is very sequential. What we do with prefab and modular construction is we pull a part of that normally pulls time off the completion of the project, and we're doing things in parallel. While we're prepping the site, we're ordering materials for the cell. While we're starting foundations, we're building and putting in storage the cells so that when that roof goes on the building, en masse, 32 a day, 36 a day, cells start arriving to site, and then you can activate MEP trades and make a huge impact on your project. And that's what we've seen. I'll show you a video a little bit later of a typical cell install. What it means to the job site is just-in-time delivery. Now, manufacturing, COVID taught us just-in-time is dangerous, so just before just-in-time is how we kind of treat manufacturing now. But on the job site, you have limited space, so you want Jared, if he's managing your project, to give us a call and say cells need to be in this order on site starting Tuesday, May 5th. I don't know if that's Tuesday, but, and you want those cells to show up on time, just in time. Cranes are there, you want the crane to be there the day before, and we want all the cells set and then the crane to be either reallocated or taken off the site. MEP subcontractors, there's a lot of underground and prep and trunk line work that can be done before the cells arrive, but if you can imagine a project like Westville, in a matter of a few days we'll have a building set, and then MEP trades are, they're really connecting everything together and being able to tie in and bring systems online and proof them a lot faster. Saving time usually equates to saving money. And let's face it, the biggest thing it's doing is when you have finally gotten money appropriated for your new jail or this prison, you already needed it. You needed it 5 years ago, sometimes 10 years ago, sometimes 15 years ago. So if we can move you in 6 months, 7 months, 8 months ahead of schedule, we're picking up some of that lost time. We can't pick it all up, but we're picking up some needed time. You needed that facility. We want to do things that speed up you getting into that facility. With our new building brought online, we can now store about 1,500 units, all custom. We don't have a model number that we're trying to sell you. All custom units ready for job sites in our facility, in the dry, in a bonded warehouse. I don't think anybody else in the industry has anything that would be comparable to that. There is a portion of this that's up front. We need you to make some decisions. That's kind of where a very competent DEC comes into play. They become the project manager. They become the entity that links an electrical contractor and how many volts are running to the cell light fixture so that we can order it and so that we can place it in the right spot so that it generates the right photometrics in the cell. So it's very critical. A lot of people say, well, Mike, can I buy the cells direct? Well, you can, but me holding a purchase order that I'm not able to actually put in manufacturing does me no good. I need that project management. I need that DEC element in there. The DEC also performs an important role of installing the cell. Very qualified. We use union iron workers in the union territories. Paulie's been very good at that. CML's another installer here. Some areas the carpentry unions are prevalent and they'll install the cells. But it's very important that we have those qualified people. We're selling you a brand new product that you probably inspected at our plant. And it's not really going to work if it's installed, you know, out of square. If someone's beat it up, you didn't buy a used product, and we don't want your products to be anything but brand new when you're ready to move into the facility. See some of the pictures here. Our designs have really moved the industry over the years back to the benefits of a rear modular chase. If any of you have had to work in a small, tiny, triangular chase trying to replace a piece of ductwork, clean out a vent, find out why a toilet stopped up, you will greatly appreciate a rear chase scenario. We've even taken that a step farther with Baker Mechanical, and we're able to prefab the risers. The picture on the right, double stacked cells. What literally happened here was cell A, lower cell flew in, cell B flew in. They joined them together, and then that HVAC plumbing rack you see was really quickly connected on the back, and then that unit rolls into place. So again, we're looking in the prefab world to do all the things that make sense, in a controlled factory environment, and bring it to the site so the site is more efficient. For those that are concerned about, you know, are we green? We are green. All the materials that we use for the cell walls are made from recycled steel. Made the Russia-Ukraine war a little bit challenging when we found out that's where all of our recycled stuff comes from. But it's made in South Carolina, the steel is, and then we coat that steel with polyurea, which is basically an equivalent of Rhino bed liner, Line-X bed lining. Very, very durable and very, very suitable for the detention environment. We have, with the modular controls, also found some cost savings in installing pre-designed, terminated low voltage wiring in the cell. That makes, you know, the cells there, the wiring's there, we bring the locks there, plug the locks in. Sometimes we already have a PLC unit on the back of the cell. That means we can identify a small area a lot of times and pre-check those out to see if everything works. It's a very unique offering from our group of companies, and it's TJ will address that a little bit, but some pretty significant savings with that as well. Quality control is one of the three pillars. Is you know, and again, a good environment, an environment designed to make this product is our factory. And I would invite you to come down, especially if you're in the evaluation period of how we're going to build our new jail. Come down and visit. Nothing beats kicking the tires. I am, you know, not the best salesman of my product. Guys on my shop floor are the best salesmen of our product. They have an extreme amount of pride in what they do. They know what they do, and they're happy to show it. So I would ask you, if you're in that evaluation process, schedule a visit. Come down and see us. We can get you in and out in, you know, 20 hours, but I think it'd be well worth your time and effort. I do want to roll video now, Mike, if you wouldn't mind, just to give you a indication on, you know, what we're talking about with the speed of installation. Typically, we're going to ship these units 3, 4 on a flatbed truck. Usually, no overwidth, no real scheduling or route issues to deal with. We're going to arrive as you need us on the site. The install team is usually picking right off the trailer into an area to load the building. That's what you see going on here. It's a pretty fast process, particularly if we have a metro area or we need to access the building through roads that can't be completely blocked off, and you don't have huge laydown areas. So a lot of the metro jobs we do, this is really, you know, the prime or one of the only options that really makes sense. So you see in a relatively quick period of time, they're going to, you know, unload a truck, stack them together. This is a well-trained, well-skilled team that does this. They handle these on a daily basis. And then you see the lightweight nature of them. We're rolling them right into place on the job site. And that's how this system works. Couldn't be faster. Now, when this is done, it's about ready for these other trades to start making it live with power, with water, and ventilation. All right, we'll roll on. Some of you may have seen at the break, we have a different product line we introduced a couple of years ago. And look, I'm going to refer back to something Sheriff Hardwick said, and there's a lot of different versions of it's been said today, but you know, very few of the people that we incarcerate are there for life. I think the public sometimes looks at things, says lock them up, throw away the key. We know that doesn't happen. So it's a pretty fair bet that any inmate you encounter sometime will be going back to the community. After, you know, years of working with sheriff's departments, with prison officials, you know, we started to learn that, you know, a lot of people that are incarcerated literally have diagnosable mental health problems. Now we're treating them for the, you know, or they're being punished for the crime they committed, and a lot of times we're not doing anything to help them while they're in there. Now, quite frankly, I can't build a cell that in itself does anything, but with the right programs, we can create some spaces that complement these programs. And you know, we're committed to designs that have outcomes. Now, SteelCell is not the person to really consult about what's the best program. But SteelCell is flexible enough in what we do that if you have a program and you have a desired outcome and you have things that you know you need to do to get people to that outcome, like condition them to maybe a little bit more how it's going to be on the outside when they get out, that's what we launched this product line for. We're calling it CareAffirm. We do think there's a transitional piece here that moves this from justice maybe to healthcare. Sometimes we believe healthcare is, and we hope sometime in the future healthcare is going to be able to aid justice and run some of this effort and some of these type facilities. But let's face it, right now, justice, you know, your jails and your prisons, you have them. You have them. Can we design in, can we give you some products that you can better institute programs that, like, you know, our local St. John Sheriff said, we want to reduce recidivism. You know, if you really want to save money in incarceration, then let's create a way where we're not incarcerating people till they die. You know, they may come back 10 times. So how can we help? Well, we have talked to some of the experts. Dr. DeWinger was mentioned. There's a few architects in this room that we consulted, and we tried to, you know, ask the questions, you know, what's the goals? Well, here's a checklist. I won't read them all, but they include well-being of patients, new word, patients, and staff. A lot of times we need to think about that too. This is somebody's office. You know, those of you that work in the correctional industry, this is your office. You come to work, this is your office. The work environment matters. If you don't have a good work environment today, how hard is it going to be to retain staff? Create a safe, and I'll be the first to tell you, nothing's inmate proof. Nothing's foolproof, nothing's indestructible. It's resistant to a certain level, but we create as safe a space as we can, and that's safe for the resident, the patient, the inmate, the staff. And then, you know, it all comes together to try to create a little more conducive environment to these programs that we know are needed. And again, I can't advise you on the programs, but I can give you the spaces. We tried to, you know, just consolidate all these things that we heard that would be needed to create better spaces, varying textures, creative space. You saw a chalkboard out there. There's also a whiteboard, a to-do list options there, something that's a little more calming. You know, we got somebody that you know, may have a mental health problem, and we've locked them up into a pretty stark room. We may or may not have the right light in there. They're away from their TV, their cell phone. Pretty shocking development happened to them. So how can we keep the calmness going? Warm colors, you know. We used to have a saying at SteelCell, we do any color you want as long as it's cylinder cream. But that's changing. You've seen some colors. Well, Henry Ford taught us that, but you know, you're seeing the addition of different colors and different textures. Some sense of comfort, some sense of, hey, you know, I'm in here and I'm safe. There's a lot of debate over whether a single bed cell or a double bed cell or a triple bed cell or quad bed cell, where does the inmate want to be? You know, I think especially with the generation coming up today, that single bed, they feel better. They don't have to worry about the other person in the room. Technology, let's face it. Let's really face the facts here. Kids are born today that are becoming offending adults, and they're used to being plugged in. They're used to noise. They're used to white noise. It's surprising to me in my office, when we've got an engineer working on a complex thing, he has to have noise in the background. Might have earbuds in while they're designing. That's just foreign to me, but we've got a generation that's raised that way. I think we're going to have to address it in our facilities for calmness and, you know, and order. They're just used to there being some constant noise, whether it's music, white noise, bird sounds. Those of you that haven't, you know, saw the unit out in the shop, you should get Luke to show you how that works. Options for electronic delivery of programs. Look, there's a USB port. The facilities that we've done with these units, hey, it's USB port. Charging port for a tablet. It's not 120 volts, it's like 3 milliamp. You know, they're not going to start a fire with, but they're going to be able to charge a tablet if it's issued to them. Lighting control, and then, you know, honestly, things don't need to break easy. So, you know, high quality. And that's what's around this CareFirm product that we built. What you see out under the tent, if you've been out there, that's not a model we're trying to sell you. You're seeing a lot of different options. Our systems are very customizable by nature. As we go from one state to another, we have different square footage requirements. As we go from one country to another, we have different thought processes on what a correctional sleeping room needs to look like. So they're completely customizable. And just to give you a few pictures if you haven't seen, you know, we're not saying we have an answer for everything, but look, if you're trying to get someone ready to live in the real world, there's a difference in a toilet that looks like what might be in a hotel or home than the standard detention unit. You see things like chair rails, differing colors. Here you have some pretty stark, you know, color differential. I tell people it's much nicer in the college dorm that I lived in, but then again, it's made to be, you know, as indestructible as we can afford to make it. Partitioning is a big deal. You know, if you look at a standard cell design that we all use, that we've all seen, our bathroom toilet, where we brush our teeth, drink out of the water fountain, hey, it's all right there combined in one unit. It's what we have to do for the number of people that we have, but then we transition them into something that's a little more like how they might live if they get out and stay out. See the bottom picture on the thing there? That's a project we did for Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice. They call it an honor dorm. So they have a transitional step-up program from, you know, being sentenced into, you know, behaving, getting on the programs that they've got guided, and you move into what we call, or they call an honor dorm. You know, colors and spaces for learning and activity. Look, try as we might, I would dare anybody to tell me they've walked through a facility that's been open 5 years and there's not some great artist with some great work of art on a wall, on a bunk, or anywhere else. All right, let's give in. Let's give them some creative space. Let's maybe punish them if they're on the wall, but let's give them creative space. Whiteboard, chalkboards. We can give you a secure option there. The separation of space. There's not many places where we do everything in one room. That's pretty much a jail. How can we create some affordable spaces where we can start to separate those essential activities of sleeping and bathing and grooming and using the bathroom and studying? We've got it. They're coming online in our industry. So with that said, and I'll open up for some questions. I do have a couple of shout outs I want to do, but we do have a full scale unit out for viewing. I would be remiss if I didn't mention some of my Caribbean family that's listening on the webinar today. Recently promoted Don Clare is the newly installed Commissioner of Corrections in the Bahamas. Now, it means something that I said Commissioner of Corrections. It's previously been Commissioner of Prisons. So we have movement going there in the right directions. And congratulations, Commissioner Clare. The Commissioner in Jamaica, Raj Mason. Mr. Gerald Gordon, who is the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Association. They're all online. And then Deputy Director Pilgrim in Guyana. They have 300 or 400 of our units they're incorporating into their Guyana prison system. So, you know, what we're doing means something at home. What we're doing means something in our, you know, closest geographical neighborhood, our neighbors in the Caribbean. We're happy to have them on board. And at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Rafi. Is everybody still awake? Do I need y'all to jump up there?
Good afternoon. Rafi from Aruba. First of all, I want to commend everybody today with the fantastic, I would say accent on the mental health thing. I'm seeing this new information, which is making me very happy as a regular architect. I'm not a prison architect, but yet. But I do like the fact that we can understand that people that are in prison are also people. So it's gonna help everybody if everybody feels better, especially the people who have to do the to manage the jail, because they are as much a part of that enjailment sometimes as the people in prison. Yep. My question would be about. I heard you mentioned Guyana, and how would your products relate for the Caribbean market in terms of shipping and in terms of the material durability because of the weather we all know?
Yeah, very good point, Rafi. And first I'll start with the materials. I have walked the Kia prison in Aruba, and it's very much concrete, but what's going on with it is not everybody has the same level of concrete that we have in the States. Not every, you think of an island nation and you got sand, let's make some concrete out of it. That's seashell sand, and it's really not suitable as we would use in the States. So, concrete has some issues there, weathering issues for one, and then it's a pretty humid environment. They're not, some of their facilities there aren't always conditioning the air. So steel's a good substrate. If we properly coat, this is zinc plated steel that we use, and if they properly coat and then maintain, it's inert. It's gonna last. It's gonna have its same structural integrity from day one as 30 years down the road. But it's very important to understand that can only be accomplished with first off, you got to start with a zinc-coated steel that has some resistance there. And then we have to coat it with a non-porous, durable coating. And that's exactly what the polyurea is. If you haven't felt it, then when we're out under the tent this afternoon, take a look at it and ask some questions. At the end, I'm going to make sure everybody knows who the SteelCell folks are that can answer some of the questions. But Rafi, that would be my answer. You're building most of your commercial buildings down there with steel frame, and the coatings and how you treat the connections are paramount. But if they're done right, they're going to be there way beyond anything else. Now, shipping, the units that we ship to Guyana shipped in high cube containers. And some say, well, I've been asked the question, well, how can it be more cost effective for you to ship a whole cell there? Well, all right, so toilets are made in Indiana. Locks are made in Indiana and Georgia. Doors are made in Georgia. Glass is made in Illinois. All these specialty vendors. I'm packaging all up into multiple shipments to my plant and then one shipment to the job site. The good thing about my shipment to the job site, you got no packaging, palleting, banding, anything that we're leaving on the job site. So we do the same thing in the Caribbean market. And I'm not sure that we won't start introducing some of that into West Coast markets here, is actually containerizing, putting the cells into shipping containers. And then we have intermodal. We personally at SteelCell have a inland port that will be 11 miles from our plant. So basically we're able to drop it on load it in a container, take it over to a rail spur about 11 miles away, and it can go anywhere in the world. So that's how we do that, Rafi. Other questions?
Hang on one second. So from online, someone's asking, are the steel cells secure And do they pass impact testing?
Yep, great question. So our industry, from locks to glass to ceilings to walls to doors, frames, has a series of ASTM test criteria. In particular for a wall that makes a cell, ASTM F2322, and that's a series of impacts in an area 5 by 5, 600 blows alternating every 50 blows between a sharp pickaxe-shaped object and a blunt sledgehammer type object. We are required to create a wall that has conditions of 3 different type of conditions. Panel joint, intersection of a frame or window or door, and then just a random place on the wall, maybe the least reinforced place on the wall. It's got to pass, and it's graded 600 blows at all 3 of those locations if there's no egress. An egress, for practical purposes, would be I could stick my arm through the manipulated door on the outside, grab a guard, hide something. That's egress. So something that we can egress the wall with. If you go 600 blows, you're grade 1. We were asked by the state of Virginia, who said our standard is concrete block, and there's no way that this can be as strong as concrete block. And by the way, you say 600 blows is grade 1. We have a test report that says concrete block, reinforced and grouted, will go 1,134 impacts before egress. How far will yours go before egress? And we said, well, way beyond that, but we're willing to do the test. So at 5,025 blows, we stopped the test, and we could stick the head of a pin into the damage in the wall. And there is damage to the wall. That's a lot of blows with a sharp and blunt object. So the bottom line is, I don't know that there is a more secure product that you can buy on the market than this cell system. Why? Well, our stone-based products, they're brittle, they're hard, they're heavy. You chip away at them, but we absorb. The steel wall system that we use absorbs some of this energy. 25,000 in the field, and you can rest assured, I'm telling you the truth here, the only way anybody's left a cell we've designed is with a key in the lock. Hopefully that answered the question. And there's documented test reports by a third party to actually prove that. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Part of jails and prisons, one of the inherent issues is the amount of concrete and metal
Yep.
that is used within the building, so it affects radio communications, wireless internet, things like that. With a cell like this with so much metal, have you seen any pluses, minuses regarding that? Has it affected it in any way, or is it still?
No, all right. So the question is radio communications, cell phone communications, with all the metal and concrete. And I think the question is, does our cell system, is it better or worse? Are there any discernible differences? Well, the fact of the matter is, if you use concrete, precast concrete or CMU block, you're not going to have a detention system unless there are a bunch of rebar. There's a rebar grid in there and it's solid. So the real answer to that question is, I don't think it matters either way. All of the secure type of envelopes are probably going to degrade any of your systems. Now, we've actually had people say, can you further restrict this, because then we would have some way to make cell phones less useful to the inmates. But, and I'm sure you could add a copper grid in there that disrupted the signal. But no, they're going to limit signal without a doubt. Now, I think the upside to that is we have, SEC, the security electronics systems that, are putting, and I'll let TJ talk about this, but cameras that have kind of artificial intelligence. If somebody's running or somebody falls, we can actually pick that up quicker today than a human watching a video could see it. So, we're going to have to, I think, there's a point of diminishing returns. Do you want the security or do you want the better communications. And, you know, I don't think any of the ASTM systems or ASTM graded systems at the security level you want are going to be real conducive to wide open radio frequency communication or cellular. So, Charlie.
To answer the gentleman's question about that, a lot of the facilities that we do in Texas have to have a distributed antenna system DAS.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is it can, one, enhance either the radio communications within the building and or the cellular communications within the building. So the DAS kind of solves that problem for these things, the solid metal and concrete that absorbs all those signals. So
Yeah.
the DAS can help in that.
Yeah, actually, we have that in our office, and it's stick built, you know, wood and brick, but we need that in our office. Going over here, Larry?
Mike, you almost touched on it. Finish the thought about how steel cells can be connected to provide protection from
Yeah.
windstorms.
Yeah, we did a project actually for Ms. Goldberg's firm in Kansas. I'm pretty sure I'm right there. It's one of the tornadic states, but you know, we were looking at, okay, we got these secure units, you know, they'll hold an inmate, but we're in the tornado belt. You know, everything gets knocked down. How will these cells perform? Well, the structural engineering behind our cell would allow us to go as which building code really won't let you do this. We go 8 high in a seismic zone that's 300% gravity. So basically take your fault lines and the structure is going to be sound. But if we were doing that, how could we address maybe what's going on in, you know, the tornado belt? And it really wasn't much of a stretch. We did reach out to our structural engineer. We talked about the wind loads, and he said, just a simple adding a few more connections to the foundation, and then cell to cell, we create an air refuge. And I think it was bursts of 150 mile an hour and sustained 130. Larry, you may remember those numbers better, but 135 sustained. I was way under giving ourselves credit. Bursts of 175 and sustained of 135. And that was really probably about $100 more of connecting units to each other, welded by the install team. Other questions? Well, I thank you so much for our time. I do want to ask Doug, raise his hand, Doug Bruns in the back, Brock Sanders I see, Ray Hanty, Charles Packlin, all part of our team. We have the lock trailer out there as well. Won't rehash the story Craig told, but we did meet as a team. The one thing I'll say about it's joint efforts. The Willoughby lock line fulfills a need, and the SteelCell lock line fulfills another. Both complete lock lines, but they're different preps. So within this team of manufacturers, we've got you covered. You don't have to go to the dark side for anything.